Welcome to Inside the Creative Mind with Brian Jones. Get ready to dive into the stories, sparks, and secrets that fuel creativity around the world. From musicians to painters, actors to writers, Brian takes you behind the scenes of the art you love. Let's go inside the creative mind.
I'm so excited for this show today. But before I introduce our amazing guest, I want to briefly go over a funny little story that happened to me last night. Precursor, I know nothing about astronomy, and I mean nothing. But last night I was sitting in my chair reading an article from National Geographic that said February 28th, there's going to be this planetary parade. So all these planets are supposed to line up and you can see them. You know, if the weather cooperates and the skies are clear, you'll be able to see these planets all in a row. And so I was like, I'm going to go out and look. It's dusk. It was kind of around that time. I'm searching around the sky. It's fairly clear. Again, I know nothing about astronomy. I see these 3 dots in a row, and I'm so excited. I run in the house. I get my wife, Lisa, and I'm like, look, I think I found this planetary alignment. And this only happens, it's so rare. Isn't this cool? I'm going to call my granddaughter Penny and tell her because she's super into astronomy. So my stepdaughter, Haley, answers the phone when I call. And I'm so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, tell Penny that I just found this planetary alignment. Go get her out of bed, whatever. Show her this. And I sent her a picture that I took. I zoomed in real good with my phone and took a picture. And she said, that's Orion's belt. And I was like, oh, so that's not, she said, no, that's always there. And so I felt kind of, not as smart as I thought I was, but I learned something. I learned where Orion's belt is. And I learned that I was nowhere near in the vicinity of the planetary parade. So I hope there's some other people that did the same thing. If I'm the only one, then shame on me. But if there's some others that did that last night, you're not alone. Now let's get to this amazing guest that's going to be on our show today. So Ella Reese is joining us, and Ella has a resume that's about a mile long. We're not going to be able to cover everything that she's done in her career, young career. But with that, I want to introduce Ella. So Ella, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on today. How are you?
Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really good. I'm excited to be here. There's some light snow outside, which is wonderful. Wonderful scene to wake up to. So yeah, ready to talk and ready to go.
So I know you're probably laughing at me. I mean, obviously, this is a huge mistake, but I did learn something. I learned that what Orion's belt is. So I'm going to just tuck that away as information, chalk it up to a learning experience. And but Ella, you've got a pretty big announcement coming up for you, and a couple of your friends are putting on a performance, and I'd like to announce that early if we can. So can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, totally. So I'm super excited about this concert coming up. It's at National Sawdust, a pretty renowned venue in Brooklyn, New York. And I've been in touch with this music venue for a little bit. I actually met one of the founders at a grandparents' day at my school where I was performing. And they're so lovely. The venue is all about supporting musicians, and they're a very musician forward venue. So I'm super excited about this, and I'm organizing the whole thing, and I have a lot of ideas. The theme is Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and I have 2 other students of the Clive Davis Institute, which is where I go to school at NYU, coming to perform with me. They're both extremely talented. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about the event. I think that the goal of this event is just for all ages, all genders, doesn't matter to me. But for everyone to just come together. It's going to be a standing event, so just stand and dance together and really create a community around music, which I think is super important all the time. And beyond just a concert, I really want this to be an experience for the performers and the audience. And so in doing so, I've thought of a few ways that I'm going to really incorporate the audience to just feel like it's one big kind of dance party instead of, oh, you're coming to watch me perform,
Yeah, that sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. We're going to be singing a lot of just like empowering songs, like some Alanis Morissette and Amy Winehouse, and who else? Some James Brown is on my set list. So I'm really excited, as well as a bunch of originals that I haven't released yet. So that's always exciting for me to share with a portion of the world.
So Ella, I know that you can't be a one woman show here. So do you have some other performers that you can share with us, or friends or people that are helping with the event?
Yes. So I'm organizing the event, but I have invited my friend Hallie Burnett and my friend Remy Baker to open for me, and they're both beautiful performers. You can go look them up. They're really amazing. They both have music out, but also are performing around the city. And then we all have our bands that we're working with. So yeah, it's going to be a really exciting and energetic night from us.
So this is April 4th at 7 p.m. And is there a website, or is it just people reaching out to you via Instagram where they can find out more about the event? Is there somewhere that they can get specifics? Because
Great questions.
Yeah.
Yes. So I post about all of my events and concerts and everything that I'm involved in on my personal Instagram, which is Ella Reese Music. Reese is how I spell Reese for me. But this event is on nationalsawdust.org, which is National Sawdust's website. And it gives a place to buy tickets, but also just an overview of the event and also us three girls. So I highly recommend checking that out because you can read more about me and also Remy and Hallie.
That's great. We'll probably touch on that again at the end of the show just to remind people, because that sounds like an incredible event. I wish I could be there, but unfortunately, I'm stuck here in the Middle West doing podcasts.
Yeah.
But so Ella, I've known you for a little while here. You came on our blog, and you've done different things with Intune Media in the past. Yes. So I know a little bit about you, and I went back and I started kind of looking through our blog and some of the notes that I had done when I was originally kind of interviewing you for that. And I just have some questions, and your music is so incredibly inspiring. And I say that not just as a compliment, but for people that haven't listened, it's heartfelt and it's really emotional. That's the one word I love to tag to your music. Mm-hmm. But I think when I look back, is it fair to say, Ella, that if when you label yourself as far as the musicality, are you more of a performing artist? Is that your passion, or you just consider yourself, like a singer musician?
I consider myself equal parts performing artist and singer songwriter. And I think it's super important for me to own the singer songwriter part because I'm so passionate about writing my own music and also collaborating with others. But songwriting has been such a tool for me emotionally and creatively. It's been an amazing resource for me to just work through my own things in life. If I'm ever confused about something or feel down about something or scared or don't know how to confront something, or I'm literally just confused about what I'm feeling, I go to songwriting, and a lot of my confusion or my own emotions work themselves out through that. I feel like that for me, songwriting is a means through which I can communicate things that I can't in any other form. of communication. And so songwriting has always been so important to me, but I feel like performance is an extension of that. Because when I go out and perform cover songs, but also my own songs, I feel like I'm taking whatever emotional blockage I worked through or anger or whatever it is that this song helped me with. I'm taking that and I'm literally releasing it and sharing it with my audience. And that is such an important and impactful experience for me to have. And I think for my audience to have as well, to be able to all feel together and just let go together. It really is a release.
Yeah, I think there's a quote that we have here in our studio, and it says, "When words fail, music speaks." And I think that kind of sums up, I don't know if it would say it's your purpose for being a musician, but I think it's your release, and you just described it way better than I could. So that's so impactful, and thanks for sharing that. Ella, I want to go back. We're going to kind of go back in history here, because if we go in chronological order, we would probably be here all day with your accomplishments. But one thing really stuck out to me when I was initially doing some research on you, and I think one of the most inspiring aspects of your journey was in 2022, you kind of founded this organization, if you will, called Singing for Serenity.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that? Tell the audience how that started. And
yes, I would love to. So growing up, I'm going to go way back too. So I've always sung since I could make noise. And since I could talk, I've been songwriting. I wasn't even aware of the concept of what a singer-songwriter was, but I was doing it, as a youngster. And it's just become more and more prevalent in my life. And then when I realized that it could be a reality of what I do and what I devote my life to, I was like, yeah, that's what I was brought here for. So I've always been doing that. But when I was young, I did a lot of musical theater. So I was on a stage quite a bit. And as I was getting more and more into my own music, I was like, wow, I really want to share this with the world. And I'm not sure how to. At this point, I was in 10th grade in high school. And my poppy, my mom's dad, always has loved music. And as he's gotten older and lost a bit of himself, music always brings that back. And every single time I'm fortunate to go and visit him quite a bit, because he lives in Manhattan and I live in Brooklyn. And so we're not too far away from each other. But when I go and visit him, I always sing something for him. And the joy that brings him is so unfathomable to me, and it made me really excited. So as I was thinking about how I could get my own music out, but also, help other people with bringing them music and sharing that together, I was thinking about my poppy, and I was like, you know what? There are a bunch of senior citizens' homes kind of around me. I wonder if I could work with them and perform there. And so I called up the Cobble Hill Health Center and I asked them if they were working with an organization that brought in musicians, because I think live music is a super, energizing and important part of life. And they said that they weren't, which kind of surprised me. So then 10th grade me was like, okay, great. Well, I'm a musician and I know some musicians. I would love to work with you guys to make that happen. And they said, okay. So
wow.
I started emailing with somebody there, and soon we had dates out for the next year. And I would go and perform there every month. And I would bring in new people every single time with me. And then eventually, since I did it for 2 years until I graduated, I started, some people who were just in the rotation with me But yeah, I was there every month and I loved doing it. And now I'm in college, so I passed on this role to one of my friends who's still in high school, who's a very talented songwriter and musician. And she's been updating me periodically, just letting me know how it's still going. But
what a legacy. I mean, what a legacy. You start
yeah,
this in 10th grade. I'm trying to remember what I was even doing in 10th grade. And you're starting a legacy in 10th grade that's carrying on today. That's
yeah,
impressive.
yeah. And I think it's important that it keeps carrying on because, when I went, I saw many of the same people each time. And, we developed some relationships together. And oh my gosh. Okay, I have two stories actually. Well, one time I was playing some of my original songs, and more recently I've been writing kind of more upbeat music, but in the past, I've written a lot of ballads. And I remember I was singing Satisfied, which is one of the songs that I have out. So you guys can go
Great
check
song.
that out.
Great
Thank
song.
you. But I was performing Satisfied. And when I perform, I almost don't want to call it a performance because performance kind of reminds me of like performative nature. And for me, it's really a sharing of music. And that's so important for me and like my artistry and my mission with my music. So I was sharing Satisfied with them. And when I looked up, because I also get very into whatever music I'm singing at the time. So when I, came out of that and looked up at the audience, I saw several people crying. And it wasn't like tears of misery or anything like that. It was like we all just had that connection together and let go together and got vulnerable. And I think that, people need that release. And it's so cool that music can do this for us and allow us to be like, hey, like, it's okay. I'm sharing a song that I wrote that is extremely vulnerable to me. And you're allowed to come and experience that with me and get on this, same understanding of we're all here in this together and we're all experiencing this music right now together at the same time. And I think that was really, really beautiful for me to see. And
It may have been the best medicine that they received in a long time. I mean, it's got such healing powers and you're delivering it. I mean, I never cry when I take an aspirin, but music can definitely do that. And that's incredible.
No, it was such an incredible feeling and one that I still think about all the time to this day. And I think that was really an important experience for us all to have. And in my career as a musician, just to have and like reinforcing this idea that like my mission can be possible and I can experience music with people and people are willing to do that. And I think that that is really cool. And then another time I was there and there was this man who I hadn't met before and he plays the piano and he didn't tell me that, but one of the staff members working there did. And they said, maybe you can get him to play something. And I was like, oh my goodness, I would love that. So I talked to him and he agreed to come and try and play a little bit of his piano. He had hurt his arm, so it was a little bit difficult for him at this point, but he was getting back into playing the piano. And I just remember everyone was just, again, like in it and ready to take on this experience together. All of the performers who I brought, as well as all of the citizens who were living in that home. And it was just really exciting to, see this man relearn the piano and be vulnerable with us. That takes a lot of bravery to, share a skill like that you once were a master at and now you're relearning. And that was such an amazing experience as well. And yeah, it felt great to see him and kind of be on the receiving end of it.
Well, I'll tell you what, like I said, we've got so many great things to go over. That's an amazing story. I love it. I love hearing it. I know our listeners are going to love it too. Now, Ella, you have really accomplished a lot in a short time. I mean, you've graced some pretty legendary stages like the Cutting Room and the Bitter End. These venues, a lot of young girls haven't even come close to experiencing that. So when you're on the world stage like this and you're performing in front of these large audience, can you tell others who haven't maybe experienced something like that emotionally, what is that like? How does it feel?
I think it's invigorating, especially when I am just with the mic and not on the piano. I mean, well, it's different for me because when I'm performing with a band and I just get to hold the mic, I feel a different type of free, because usually when I'm doing songs like that, they're more groovy songs, a little bit less of ballads. But yeah, that for me is like when the lights just hit your face and you can hear yourself back on the monitors. I mean, that is such an amazing experience, in my opinion. That's like the awakening experience for me. And then when you start singing and, you can see people in the audience, and even when they start singing with you, I just think that it's really awesome. It's just like one big dance party. But when I play some of my ballads on the piano, I get really, really into them. I mean, I get into all of the songs that I'm singing, but I get into them in a vulnerable way that maybe some of these more upbeat songs wouldn't invoke that emotion in me. But I love doing that on bigger stages too, because I could just share it with the room. Honestly, for me, like, it isn't even about how big the stage is. It's about the people who are there and how willing they are to let go with me. I think that that's like the most impactful thing to me. Yeah, I remember at a recent performance at the Triad Theater, my friend was sitting in the audience and he had gone through a recent breakup, and you know how boys are supposed to be like, tough and whatnot. I'm not into that. My friends are all, they can get vulnerable with me. And so I was singing a song that I wrote pretty recently. It's called We Can't Be Friends, and it's one of my favorite that I've written so far. You can find it on my Instagram. I've posted some clips of it, but it's not yet released. I hope to do that in the near future. But yeah, I was singing We Can't Be Friends, and my friend told me after the performance that he was crying in the audience and that he really needed to hear that. And he was like, wow, yeah, you're right about that message. And I was like, yep, unfortunately. So if you listen, you'll get what I mean.
How do you handle the nerves? I mean, now it's different for you. Like you said, you've been doing this since you probably started talking, but you're in front of this large crowd for young people, male, female, whoever's out there performing. How do you battle the nerves, or is that even in the top of your mind?
Yeah, honestly, I've always struggled with stage fright. It used to be worse. And I think that singing for Serenity really helped that, because I was performing every single month. It is really a muscle that you have to train. And, maybe going to a huge stage right away isn't the right move. And that's okay. And that's normal. But I think that really helped me just performing consistently. And also just generally in my life, I'm a relatively anxious person because I care about a lot of things. But I have been practicing meditation for a while. I listen to the Daily Calm pretty much every night before bed, which is an app.
It's a great app.
So I do that, and in the mornings, And at night, I'm always stretching and just like kind of getting into my body and the world around me as opposed to technology. I know everyone says it and it's kind of annoying, but I do really think that there's an energy that kind of cloaks you when you are on your phone, or at least that's what I've noticed in myself. And so
Yeah,
I do try
definitely.
and I do try and step away from social media and technology as much as I can, but especially first thing in the morning and last thing before I go to bed. Um, and yeah, other than that, oh, every morning I wake up with direct sunlight, or at least I try to, whether that means going for a walk or opening the shades and just letting that be the first thing that touches me. I think that that's really helped me just like regulate my nervous system. And I think just like getting to know myself. I am such an advocate for having a strong relationship with yourself. I think that it's so important just as a living human to understand who you are, what you need, and like becoming friends with yourself. And I know that that sounds funny, like, oh, my imaginary friends and whatever, but I go out and do things by myself all the time. And I used to not. That used to scare me. But I think it's so important to be able to be alone, and at first if it's not comfortable, like that's okay, you know? But I think that that's really important, and I think that just like knowing myself and that reliability on myself has helped me when performing, because I'm like, I got you. Like, it's me, I
Yeah.
got you, you know?
Now that's incredibly encouraging for people that are battling that, and good advice to share.
Yeah. Oh, and also something that one of my music teachers told me, which also helps me sometimes, is it's your song. You can't mess it up, you
Yeah,
know?
that's great. That's great advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody knows if you're singing it right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So in 2025, you released the song Satisfied, and
Yes.
you sent it to me to listen, and I turned it on and I listened to it, and it's the it's the most dramatic and emotional song I had heard probably in a few weeks at that time. And I thought, this lady must be 30, 35 years old, experienced some pain, experienced some happiness. I was just like, this is a mature voice. This voice owned this song.
Thank you.
And I found out you're much younger, and I'm like, something's not jiving here. She stole somebody's song or something because it's too good. Um, this Tell us about, I guess, and you know, any way you want. What created this song? What were you feeling at the time? What was your headspace when you created Satisfied?
Yeah, so I'm 18 now, but I wrote Satisfied in ninth or 10th grade. And, you know, I think that time in probably everyone's life, I mean, if it's great for you, that's awesome. But I think just, that transitioning period is very difficult for a lot of people. And there were definitely a lot of things that I struggled with. And I think that I lost myself a little bit. And I didn't really know what where I was going or what I was doing. And I also hadn't really written that many songs recently. And I was sitting on my bedroom floor with my back against my bed, and the first line, I'm feeling homesick, don't know
Yeah.
where my home is, that came to me because I was like, where am I? I did have this constant feeling of homesickness in my own life and in my own home, and even when I was with my family. And I think that's because I had lost myself, you
You felt
know?
isolated?
I just felt like I didn't know where I was, and I had lost myself. I had
Gotcha.
lost, like, when I say, like, creating that relationship with yourself and, having yourself be one of your best friends. I really do mean that. I feel like I had lost that part of me that was like, I'm here for you, you
Yeah.
know?
Wow.
And so that song to me is about coming back to myself and like a promise to myself that the bridge at the end, toward the end of the song, it's looking back on the past. When I look to the little girl in me, do I value her for her beauty? Will she see what she can accomplish, see what she can be? And will I tell her to fly a kite, like, oh, go fly a kite or climb a tree? And encourage her to do the things that she always dreamed of. And so that song to me is really, honestly, an apology to myself about how I had been treating myself, but also a promise to myself that I was going to honor my dreams and I was going to honor the things that I loved, and I was going to work hard to rebuild a relationship with myself. And I'm really, really, really proud to say that I have. And to this day, I feel like I have one of the strongest relationships with myself that, like, than in any time in my life. And yeah, I'm glad that I kept that promise. And when I play Satisfied now, like, sometimes I'm even crying tears of joy because I feel like I have come so far, and it's just a reminder to myself every time that I will keep fighting for myself. And yeah.
Well, I'll just tell you, because I've been in this industry for 30 years, and I've heard a lot of songs that come out. It might be the first release or an early release from an artist, and Satisfied's next level. So those that haven't listened to it, please jump on Spotify or Tidal or your favorite streaming platform and check that out. In November 2025, you released Look Upon Love.
Yes.
And that seemed to me, and this is just my opinion, you correct me if I'm going down the wrong path, but it seemed a little more mainstream pop, a little more upbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like maybe it had some undertones of a breakup song or a relationship ending. And you don't have to throw anybody under the bus here or name any names, because I don't want you to get, I don't want you to get in trouble. But what were you thinking emotionally? And I can't, you kind of get the sense that something didn't go the way you wanted it to in that song. So can you give us just an idea what was going on then?
Yeah. So I went to St. Anne's School for high school, and actually, like, most of my schooling before university, but they have super awesome classes there, one of which was Songwriter's Toolbox. And so this was the first year that class was offered, and I was in 10th grade, and I was writing this song. My friend, Evie Taylor, came up with a really fun guitar part, which ended up being the, main guitar riff in that song. And she was like, oh my gosh, Ella, you have to hear this. Look at this guitar part that I wrote. And I was like, that's awesome. I love it. And let's build on it. And so we were kind of brainstorming, like, what would the song be? What vibe did we want to share with the world? And we were like, oh, this feels very, like, I don't know, maybe it's like raining outside and you're inside, and maybe you just went through a breakup, and then I was like, yeah, like, you don't know when you're gonna look upon love again. And we were like, yeah, that's it. And so then I began writing the lyrics for that, and I had never been in a relationship before. But I'm pretty observant. I know what goes on.
Yeah.
And so that's actually one of my only songs that isn't, like, extremely specific to my personal life. But yeah, that song was just honestly really fun to write. And by the end of the song, the chorus changes. And instead of being the person who always sees, their ex's shadows blowing in the wind and kind of is fixated on that and doesn't exactly know, because the song is about like not knowing where you are after a breakup, kind of getting yourself lost in that other person. And so the last chorus is, now I sit and watch the waves crash alone, and I can finally say I did it on my own. It's a trajectory of the song, and the end is the peak, in my opinion, because the person feels content with themselves. They've come back to themselves, and, they're obviously still not in this relationship, but they're okay with that now.
It's a journey. It's an emotional journey from start to finish.
Yeah.
Well, Ella, I got a couple more things I want to ask you before we wrap up, because I got to keep my eye on the time here. But Look Upon Love, kind of the last thing you mentioned earlier, that you got another song you're trying to get out there. So what can your fans expect as far as musically or releases? What do you got in the works? What can you got? You don't have to give us any specifics, but you got some new music you're thinking about releasing soon?
100%. I'm very excited actually about this project that I'm working on right now. Keeping it a little under the wraps for the time being, but soon enough, everyone will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that project I'm super excited about working on. I've been working with a producer who goes to Clive as well. And yeah, other than that, I have a lot of songs that that are on my mind. And
Sweet.
So yeah, I'm very excited about what's to come. And I'd say look out for it and come with me on this journey, and like also reach out to me. Like if you have ideas or if you want to say hi, I'd love that.
Yeah. Well, make sure you share it with us for sure, because we'll always support you and share your messages as well. But remind us
so much.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Remind us again one more time about the project, the Girls Just Want to Have Fun project. I know it's April 4th at 7 p.m. Just kind of recap that for us one more time.
Yes, April 4th at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:30. And this is a performance that I'm putting on. It's a concert with two amazing performers, and then myself, Remy Baker and Hallie Burnett, and then me, Ella Reese. It's going to be at National Sawdust in Brooklyn, New York. And we're looking to have fun. So please come sing, dance with us. We're going to be singing some really powerful cover songs like Amy Winehouse and Alanis Morissette, and then a bunch of originals. So you will get a taste of the project that I was speaking of if you come.
Oh boy.
And yeah, just a bunch of fun things will be happening there. And yeah.
What was that website again for people if they wanted to find out more information about it?
National Sawdust.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Ella, this has been a great interview. Thank you so much for taking time out of your ridiculously busy schedule to come and share this information with your fans and with me. I'm greatly appreciative. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this interview up with your fans? Final thoughts?
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. And I'm just excited about what's to come. And let's ride this ride together.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please take a moment out of your day, out of your week, and go learn a little bit more about Ella Reese. You can find her on her Instagram. She's all over Spotify, TikTok, you name it. Tidal is another place where you can find all her music. So check her out today. And thank you so much for being with us. And Ella, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Inside the Creative Mind with Brian Jones. Keep exploring, keep creating, and don't forget to tune in for the next 30 minutes of inspiration streaming on all platforms. Your next spark of creativity is just a play button away.